Hello everyone, and welcome to RPG Limit Break. Tonight we are excited to present to you another extraordinary race from Week 3 of the 2019 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. This race will feature two runners who have had a tough start through their first two rounds, arriving here with an 0-2 record and will be furiously trying to book a win tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive, as the runner-up tonight will not be eligible to advance beyond the Swiss rounds. So we have sigmafan. She also plays the Link to the Past Rando, among other things. She got here dropping one against Edgeworth, and then in the second round was defeated by Value V, and she'll be up against LordoftheSynth tonight, frequent contributor to the community, often restreaming many of these broadcasts, among other things. He lost to Ryguy 3745 in the first round and dropped one to Realis coming into tonight's match. So there we have it. Looks like we're underway with the Strength Agility versus the Strength HP tonight. And starting with the herb and the herb, so not a whole lot to get started with in terms of maybe quick upgrades for equipment and things of that nature. They do have a reasonable starting strength. We're into the white with strength, not in the red actually for any of the three top stats. So they got a little bit of HP to work with. They'll be able to kill things such as all the way up, maybe the Magician. Magidrake here for LordoftheSynth seems a little ambitious, but maybe possible, especially if it starts spamming the stop spell. So this might be a nice early encounter for LordoftheSynth. Doing, looks like 1 to 2, possibly 1 to 3 damage. They have low double-digit HP totals. This would be a pretty big start for LordoftheSynth if this works out. sigmafan doing a little bit of exploration, running into the secondary zone where the middle Scorpions have sleep. So that is a tough start for her. And LordoftheSynth manages the Magidrake from level 1, vaulting him immediately up to level 2, halfway through the level. 13 power is going to get him started nicely. And Hurt More is going to get him started even more nicely. We got a quick seat on our hands, guys. So I like the play for LordoftheSynth to instantly go back to refresh some MP, since 4 MP is not enough to cast Hurt More. Unfortunately, he is only going to get enough with the refill here to cast it one time, so hopefully he'll select a nice juicy enemy worth a lot of experience. Magicians for sigmafan have the Dragon Lord Breath, so she's having a little bit of trouble getting that last experience point. Just got to get it quickly to keep pace here with LordoftheSynth, as Hurt More tends to get things started pretty quickly. But no, LordoftheSynth runs into the same Magician on pretty much the same tile on the map, and also gets sent home by the Dragon Lord Breath, so not a huge lead yet. Here's a red slime for sigmafan. That should get her going and advancing to level 2 for Hurt More. Alright, so we have a close start, a close race on our hands. Both of them have ventured up this way across this little swamp area, and it does seem to open up to the north here. sigmafan has Sharlock in her sights, as well as a cave through the swamp, but she doesn't have a whole lot of HP, so doesn't want to cross the swamp just yet. Goldman not exactly what she's looking for, and without much agility, she's going to get put to sleep by the Goldman and wrecked. I missed a LordoftheSynth just took down, but it was worth 72 experience points, so I could probably figure it out if I was really on my game, probably a knight or something of that nature. So Drakima is next up, already up to level 5, LordoftheSynth, picking up the sleep spell. Probably not going to use it too much unless he happens to run into a stone man in his travels. And we have the search spot on the single tile across the bridge. No armor this time. Good try, though. And doesn't have enough MP to cast the Hurt More on the Wyvern, just a step or so away from town. That's a bit of a setback. Lord of the Synth will have to restart from the castle. And sigmafan's just looking for something to pick on. Picks up sleep at level 3. And, you know, with this low MP starting off, she's going to have to quickly go back home and refill her MP with the old man as well. This is a bit of a walk when you have to do this. I don't know if a death warp would be a better idea here, or maybe just a little bit of exploration, but a little bit frustrating to have to go back to refill your opportunity to cast hurt more, like, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 more times, but she takes care of that. And while she's doing that, Lord of the Synth starts to extend the lead. Wolflord is one of the better enemies to see early on when you have hurt more, so this is going to vault him to level 6. So levels are coming in fast and furious. sigmafan picks up another level also, level 4 for her now. And the return spell is learned by Lord of the Synth, so if he needs a fast way home. He saw this town earlier, so it's a good situation. This is a tricky spot because Hurtmore doesn't always one-shot the werewolf. And sleep could work sometimes as well, but it's like 50-50 for sleep. So choosing not to bother with sleep, and does take it down with multiple Hurtmore, so really nice experience pickup, and finds the town of Cantlin with a couple hundred gold in his back pocket here, maybe looking for a chainmail or a small shield. They're just taking a look. See, we have flame sword and magic armor for later, and I think there was a large shield there. So if we can get some kind of gold grind started, we have a destination where some really good stuff is available. sigmafan with the same find here, but choosing not to really fully explore Cantlin just yet. Doesn't really have a whole lot of gold to do much with it. And just decides to get back on the overworld. We have kind of a slow motion battle ensuing with the Axe Knight. May or may not take it down in one hit, and does. So a bit of good luck for sigmafan. Takes her to level 6, and fortunately for her, she's right nearby a town, so she could duck in for an inn if she so chooses, or maybe she wants to try and eke out one more battle with the Hurtmore. But no, it's time to take an inn. Lord of the Synth gonna grab some herbs for the supplementary healing. We don't have any healing spells yet, so always a nice idea when that's the case. And see if sigmafan has the same idea. Yeah, we need those herbs if we're gonna do a lot of exploring right now. Hurtmore is nice, but you're gonna want to have some way of healing yourself if you want to make it a little bit further. Dragon Scale is donned for Lord of the Synth, so we have the first piece of equipment for our runners. It's +2 defense, and equally dawning is sigmafan. So these two runners have very similar ideas. They're in the same place at the same time. I'm not sure if sigmafan maybe picked up a couple of wings. Not sure what was going on there, but is going to check out some of the shops. And the Axe Knight, does the Axe Knight have Dragonlord breath? Because Lord of the Synth did not like that result. Back to the castle he goes. So sigmafan doing a nice job of actually kind of closing the lead here. We do see a silver shield on the bottom shop, so all 3 of the best items for potential gold grind are available just to the north in Cantlin. So in order to set up that gold grind, they would probably want to find some sort of a large dungeon in the near future so that they can open up some chests, maybe grab a key, and then see if there's some gold in the treasury. So, and I like this, Lord of the Synth is going after these werewolves. Since they do have heal, it makes it a little bit less likely that they're going to counterattack you with the punch if the Hurtmore doesn't one-shot it. So if it does heal, you can always finish it off with a second Hurtmore because the heal doesn't heal enough of the damage to take it outside the range. So we have wizards here, which aren't that great to run into, but the Wyvern is a nice little spot, and there were Axe Knights here. So Lord of the Synth seems to actually be walking around in this forest with the grind on his mind. Maybe he wants a handful of these enemies before the MP runs out. Gonna maybe get another level here, take another trip to the inn, and then we'll see if he wants to continue his travels from level 8 now. And deciding not to bother attempting the werewolf encounter here. Just gonna run away and go to the inn, cut his losses. We'll get the next level pretty soon afterwards. And while he's been sitting in one spot grinding, sigmafan has been covering a bit more of the map, running into mostly smaller enemies, but continuing to gain a little bit of experience here and there. Closing in on level 7. Not quite going to do it with the poltergeist here, but trying not to run through a lot of these large swamps that we see everywhere because she wants to conserve those herbs, but sometimes that makes exploring the map a little bit more difficult because you can't quite see what's on the other side from here. But she will get level 7 on the Wolf Lord. That's a nice enemy. They have really good agility now at level 7. They're up into the high 50s. So she is going to venture through this huge swamp. This is just gigantic. Didn't have a whole lot of herbs left, but does make it to a little bit of a dry patch here. So, kind of a trolly map we got going. That is a tremendous amount of swamp. So they are not running with the big swamp flags, but I believe they did agree, by the way, I should have mentioned it earlier. I think they have agreed to the Scared Metal Slimes flag. Didn't seem to come into play early. Neither runner has run into a metal slime yet, but if they had run into one very early in the game, they would have been able to run away with this flag set. So, just so we're all aware, that's what's going on. Lord of the Synth does take down a couple of more of those enemies in that nice grind zone. Is going to take another trip to the end. So be curious to see what is his target here, if he's maybe trying to gather a certain amount of gold. Unfortunately, the inn here costs 100 gold every time you stay, but if he stays in this grind zone for another cycle, he might be able to build up enough for, let's say, a large shield. He is going to stay in the area. There are some nice hurt-moreable enemies here, so interesting tactics from Lord of the Synth. sigmafan finds their way back in the castle. Maybe is going to go in a different direction from here. All right. Yeah, she, I think, used up just about all of her herbs before, so she might want to take a little northern trip back up to Cantlin and just pick up some more herbs to make her exploration a bit easier, but so far, she's found a few extra places to explore. Gonna try the Axe Knight again. It's not always one-shottable, but majority of the time it is. And once again, she does manage to one-shot it on a low HP count for the victory. So both runners getting some high-value enemies. Look at this little series of islands and bridges. Ends up dead end. With a dead end up against a river. You can see plenty of land on the other side, but the river is not crossable. So she'll retreat and come back up to this swamp to the north. We finally have a cave sighted. So far it's been a whole lot of empty land for both runners, but cave on the map for sigmafan. Probably going to go check it out if she can get there. We have Druid Lords and Knights on screen, both great hurt-moreable enemies also. Lord of the Synth already up to level 9 now, I believe. So very fast experience gathering. 13 minutes in, we have well over 1,000 experience for one of our runners. And the Armored Knight is going to be a problem here. We do have pretty good agility, but it takes a lot of agility to be a favorite to run away from the Armored Knight, so unfortunate encounter for sigmafan. She'll be going home. And without the ability to top off her hit points, she entered that fight with a low hit point total. And knowing it takes 2 turns generally to defeat an Armored Knight with the Hurt More spell. Just didn't have enough HP to withstand that, unfortunately. Maybe it would have been worth actually attempting it anyways, just in case the Armored Knight happened to counterattack with a hurt spell or a failed stop spell attempt or something like that. But back to the castle she goes. And Lord of the Synth casting Return here maybe feels like he's kind of fully explored that territory. We haven't really seen a whole lot of treasure chests or dungeons or anything like that. We've seen a whole lot of overworld and a lot of hurt moreable enemies, so they have gained experience, but you can see on our tracker there's a lot of gray amongst the various items that they have not yet acquired. Lord of the Synth did upgrade to the chainmail previously, but other than that, not much in possession of these two runners just yet. Gonna have to go find some more locations. Sharlock on screen for Lord of the Synth. And we saw sigmafan not go through this swamp to the south, and Lord of the Synth has the same hesitation, maybe a little bit low on herbs himself, deciding on this smaller swamp just to make sure there wasn't something tucked in the corner there. And here's the difference. Sigmafan enters this Armored Knight battle with more HP to work with, so she is able to take that one down for 172 experience, and she gets level 9. And there is a cave across this swamp just south of Sharlock, so we have the Staff of Rain cave, which is nice to take note of where that is early on for when you acquire the Silver Harp. That old man will trade that for the Staff of Rain. So finally we have Garen's Grave for sigmafan. A Cursed Belt. Fighter's Ring is going to be put on. Looks like she picked up the wings as well, so no key on there, unfortunately, so that's not going to help a whole lot in the near future. Cursed Belt sells for 180 gold if she wanted to eke out something like a broadsword in the near future. She's got about 1,000 gold right now. And we have a town finally across this little windy path for Lord of the Synth, but no! Enters an Armored Knight battle with low HP. Same thing that happened to sigmafan earlier. They don't have enough healing to work with, and when they run out of herbs, they just don't have any way to top off that HP. You want to be entering encounters like that with a lot more hit points, and this is a big find for sigmafan. She had built up a pretty good gold total, so she'll have enough gold here to buy 6 keys from Rimildar. So early key pickup, and she was the one that was very recently just in Garen's Grave. She could actually go right back in there and try for a gold grind. We saw Flame Sword, Silver Shield, and Magic Armor pretty close by to the start in the town of Cantlin. So pretty big development for sigmafan. She could catch up in this race pretty quickly if things work out in her favor. First going to check the weapon shop for a temporary upgrade here. We do have the hand axe and the small shield and the leather armor available. I think she could afford all 3. So we got some upgrades coming for sigmafan. Just going with the hand axe for now. Holds on to a little bit of the gold. It's going to use 2 of her recently acquired keys for the item here. Just another dragon scale, which she already has. And Lord of the Synth finds Hawksness, which, with that Hurtmore spell in tow, there are a couple of enemies here that he could beat right now. And this enemy here will guard one of the 3 search spots in the game, potentially with Erdrick's armor just laying there amongst the trees. First, it's going to have to deal with a Armored Knight blocking the way to the boss tile, and that's going to use up most of his HP in the process. It's a little bit of a tough break, unless he has some herbs to work with now, but I don't think so. It's just going to go in, take a look, and the blue dragon ambushes him. Doesn't have any chance to do much with that. Gets the information. The blue dragon is defeatable right now with Hurtmore, but you have to have a little bit of good fortune. And what is sigmafan up to now? Because this looks to be either Tablet Cave or Mountain Cave. And I'm not so sure that she has any torches. Alright, wait. Could be totally wrong. Oh yeah, this looks like Mountain Cave. She's attempting it in the dark. So there are some more chests, and yet another way that she could trigger a gold grind back at the castle if she opens a few more chests before dying here. The first one had just the gold chest, and she's doing pretty well, still on high HP. So this could be pretty big. I'm gonna follow her progress while Lord of the Synth continues to traverse the overworld. I think this is that little area that ends at this river that we saw earlier, so it's gonna have to backtrack from here. And sigmafan trying to get to that second floor and finds it. So now is she gonna go up or down? Tries to figure out how many steps she took there and trying to get to the lower right chest. Feels like she should have gotten there. A little bit of bonking around, perhaps. There it is. She's standing right on top of the chest. Unfortunately, the Armored Knight might have something to say about it, but she does not get ambushed. They have pretty good agility. It's already in the orange. So no ambush, and she is able to take it down with the double hurt more for level 10 and a chance to open this second chest here. And Lord of the Synth simultaneously, I think, finds the grave. So both runners will have an opportunity in the very near future. Well, Lord of the Synth doesn't yet have keys, so he'll have to wait a bit longer. And I completely missed what was in that chest. So pop quiz for the chat. But the third chest has the death necklace. Could be useful later. They already have triple-digit HP, guys. So that death necklace could be a nice find. Some gold in the fourth chest, while Lord of the Synth takes the wings and the cursed belt, and among other things there. And another magic key. So if Lord of the Synth happens to go into Mountain Cave first before finding Rimuldar, that might be his way to grab keys. So for sigmafan, it's just an extra key, and she decides not to try to trigger the gold grind from here. Wants to just continue exploring with that Hurt More spell as quickly as possible, foregoing all of the nice equipment that could have awaited her in the town of Cantlin, very close to home. But she has closed the gap on the experience lead pretty well. Had fallen a bit behind, so with this Wyvern kill, she would just be about 200 points behind or so. Lord of the Synth, unable to do much, can't get to the bottom of the grave without keys, and unable to set up a gold grind, so he's just going to exit and continue traveling from here using the repel spell that was recently picked up, since he does have chainmail but not much else, so he'd probably be repelling some of the really small enemies, but not a lot of the middle tier enemies, which sometimes you do like to see those pop up when you have Hurt More. So nice use of repel for Lord of the Synth, I think. Gonna refresh some herbs since they still don't have a healing spell yet on level 10. So we're gonna see some more herb purchases. I think he already had the Dragon Scale donned, but picks up another one anyways. And grabs a couple torches. sigmafan gonna trudge through this swamp, getting really low on HP. Both runners, I'm sure, hoping that that healing spell is right around the corner. So she throws the return spell instead of taking the death warp. She hasn't had a chance yet to check out what was in the treasury. So she does have keys, so I assume we'll see what's in there now. Gonna take the time to heal up with the old man, perhaps, except she doesn't have a healing spell. So, you know, it does regenerate the Hurt More capability, but maybe would have been better off just taking a death warp, although perhaps she is carrying a pretty substantial amount of gold around now. So she could get some decent equipment the old-fashioned way. Still not checking the chests. They're in the treasury, though. Erdrick's sword could be laying right there in the castle, but not checking it out for right now. It's going to go towards Cantlin. Probably has, you know, some equipment choices on her mind with all this gold that she's carrying. It's getting a little bit dire with the HP, but the town is just a few steps away. The Wraith Knight has some hurt more resistance. Is it going to resist this time? No, she takes it down. So she gets there. Okay, and we do have a small shield picked up for Lord of the Synth, so adding to the small amount of additional equipment, and a large shield now for sigmafan. I didn't notice if either of these shops had a broadsword available, but that might be a nice pickup if she were to find one right now. She has over 1,500 gold. And Lord of the Synth popped his status window there, and I think he did have a weapon. I just didn't see what it was that he bought. Possibly a hand axe, so... Even Steven on weapons now between the two runners. Refreshing herbs now. sigmafan needs that healing capability. Very close to level 11, but no way to know if level 11 will give us a heal spell. Lord of the Synth runs into the Armor Knight just a step or two away from this cave. So both runners actually have done a pretty good job making progress through the map using that Hurt More spell in a situation where they don't really have any means of healing beyond these herbs yet. And this is a little bit of a tough walk for sigmafan through all these barrier tiles. Going to have to use herbs, potentially a one-way trip here. May be able to get out of there if she wants to use up all of her herbs, but we're going to get the coordinates now. 17 north, 35 west. Let's see now. From the castle... What did that look like from the castle? I'm not sure if that's countable very easily or not, but she's going to go take a peek, casting the return spell. Maybe has some plans to count this out. Okay, well, looks like she may have just remembered that the treasury has not been explored yet. So we're going to take a look in the treasury now, and at the end of all this, she does have some gold left over to buy some more keys if she wants to go check the basement. And we do have a gold grind available in 3 different chests in the treasury. So we even have like just the slow gold grind if she wants to just go in and out and pick up those chests a few times. That could lead her towards some additional upgrades as well. She could probably get to the flame sword pretty quickly using that methodology. Now Lord of the Synth finally gets keys. I want to say somewhere about 8 to 10 minutes behind sigmafan getting it. So sigmafan maybe a little bit ahead with exploration. We have Swamp South in the basement. Hurt more on the gold man. A little bit more gold for the coffers there. And going to take a turn for the spike tile in the swamp cave. Probably not going to get there on this go. Rip gold, half your gold is lost anytime you take a death. So she'll go from 3,600 gold down to 1,800. And maybe we'll attempt to go through that way again. The princess is over there, and remember, she did just get those coordinates. So she may have a princess rescue on her mind in order to enable her to track down that overworld search spot. Yet another place where we could have Erdrick's armor. So seems to be her plan right now. They don't have Radiant, and she may have just used her last torch. So it's a little bit tricky sometimes to find this entryway to the spike tile in the dark. Going to take a lot of right bonks. Maybe he's going to start from the top instead. Okay, so gives up on the idea of getting to the spike tile. Wants to see what's on the other side. Maybe a second continent, maybe not. It's always a little bit hard to tell at first. And Lord of the Synth actually was already in the grave, but he clearly is doing this with the intention of setting up the gold grind, and there won't be any... I don't know if he actually looked in the treasury yet, but there's no way for him to mess up this grind if he, if he were to take the death now, because there's 3 gold chests in the treasury. But since he's here and since he's already bought keys, he probably will go ahead and dive into the basement here to further guarantee his ability to set up a potential gold grind. And also, you never know what could be down here. He still is looking for just about everything. We need all 3 quest items still: the silver harp, the stones of sunlight, and the Erdrick's token, in order to gain access to the final dungeon later on in the run here. And another great thing to find in a treasure chest at some point will be Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game. So makes some sense that Lord of the Synth is going to descend down into the depths of Garen's grave here. There are 2 more treasure chests down here behind the locked door that he's already opened. He's going to grab level 12 here along the way, hoping for a heal spell. But no spells on level 11. More herbs will be used. Lots of Axe Knights in these dungeons, which is a really nice bit of experience, especially if you are able to one-shot them. Green Dragon is very similar, although they're a little bit less one-shottable. Sigmafan does take that one down, though. Running out of HP and seemingly probably out of herbs now as well. Gonna attempt the Werewolf. Werewolf has heal, so she's gonna get a second chance. Takes down the Werewolf. So both runners have really not stopped gaining experience. There's been very little trouble without healing spells, except for just occasionally they run out of resources and they have to start over at the castle. But she manages to stretch it out and finds Garenham. So another bit of good exploration for Sigmafan while Lord of the Synth finishes out the grave here. And I challenge everybody to post what was in that 4th chest in the grave, since I totally missed it. And alright, so there was a key. Thank you to our tracker, Monsieur Slime, today. Very nice. And Sigmafan is going to use a key. There are 3 more chests available right here in town. And I'm thinking that the Rainbow Drop Cave might be back here. I guess the Stones of Sunlight Cave might be back here as well, as she just finds the Stones of Sunlight item. Our first quest item found by either runner. It's in the books for Sigmafan, and it is indeed the Rainbow Drop Cave. I think it was one of the only ones left. So she knows where that is now for later. She needs to remember where that Staff of Rain cave is. That I think she saw it earlier. I guess that might have been Lord of the Synth that saw that. They need to find that later on, and then they have to come back here for the Rainbow Drop Cave as well. So a little bit of memory testing here. Lord of the Synth does get back to the castle immediately, starts looking for the gold grind. Looks like he was not able to get to the very bottom chest in the grave, since the one chest here was just opened. So he might have that on the back of his mind the whole time. Is that sword going to be down there? Is something important down there? You never know. It's unlikely. That's his 2nd trip into the grave. It's unlikely that he's going to take a 3rd trip in there just for that last chest. So could be an issue later on, but remember, Sigmafan hasn't gone down there yet either. We're going to see a whole lot of money being printed up by Lord of the Synth. Sigmafan completely passed on this tactic before. Had a chance to get this done, to get all that equipment. It remains unclear, though, if all that equipment is going to be significant in this seed where the hurtmoreable enemies just are all over the place. So I feel like once Sigmafan maybe learns a healing spell, and just if she continues to use that Hurtmore spell, a lot of this gear may turn out to be kind of unnecessary. But it's always useful, it's always helpful. It's just that it may not necessarily extend this experience point lead that Lord of the Synth has created here. And in fact, while you're doing this, she will have a minute or 2 to try to catch up a little bit on the experience while he's over here raiding the treasury. And Lord of the Synth clearly going all the way. It takes around 33,000 gold to pick up all 3 of the very best pieces of equipment that money can buy in the game. We saw the Flame Sword and the Magic Armor in the north chest of the town of Cantlin, and the south chest had the Silver Shield. So gonna just finish out getting the rest of the items here, and I don't even remember. I think this is a fairy water. Yeah, so we got some pretty good stats already for Lord of the Synth, by the way, with 122 HP. And also we have the MP count now in the orange now officially with 10 heal mores. That's pretty decent, especially in a Hurt More seed. No shortage of magic right now. What they really want in the near future, though, is the spell of Heal More. So I'll be interested to see what Lord of the Synth does here. He's about to discover the swamp cave under the basement here, but he's carrying around a whole bunch of gold. I feel like it might be a little bit risky to do anything with this swamp cave. Unless he just took a safety save, which he may have done that while I wasn't watching, but Swamp Cave, I don't believe he ever saw the coordinates yet because he hasn't been back to Cantlin since acquiring keys, but he'll know now that that's where he could come back to if he wants to rescue the princess, which we saw sigmafan take one little jaunt in there to attempt a princess rescue and hasn't really been back there since, maybe waiting to learn some healing spells before taking on that blue dragon, the guardian of the princess in this seed. But meanwhile, Lord of the Synth is almost there. He's going to be able to, barring some kind of catastrophe, he's going to be able to get to Cantlin here, get a whole bunch of gear, and probably in the same trip, he's going to scoot through that wizard's house and collect those coordinates. And we have some Hurt Mores attempted on the Blue Dragon by sigmafan. Misses on the first one, then successfully runs away. The agility score now is in the green, guys, so we actually are able to run from Blue Dragons pretty successfully now, probably. I don't know, at least a 70% chance of doing so. Same here with the Wizard. You're not going to be able to damage the Wizard with the Hurt More spell. Fortunately, she gets a reprieve here. The Wizard casts Stop Spell, and it misses. So it's able to extend by using some herbs here. And here's the north side of the Swamp Cave, by the way. So I don't know if she circled all the way around and is coming back through, or if we found another way to get to Swamp Cave, which would indicate single continent. Not totally sure how that worked out. But she's going to take another shot at this. Oh, I apologize. It was a Red Dragon Guardian, and she gets promptly one shot. And that particular enemy is going to be pretty difficult without a healing spell. The Blue Dragon, if it was a Blue Dragon like I thought it was, then you could potentially Hurt More your way to victory through the Blue Dragon if you have some good fortune. But in fact, it is a Red Dragon Guardian. That is going to have to wait for later. So Lord of the Synth now did collect the Flame Sword and Magic Armor. Now is going to pick up the Silver Shield. This is going to vault his defense power tremendously, probably up into the orange here. Yeah, so we have 82 defense power, already defense breaking everything in the game that's not a Sharlock enemy. Also defense breaking wizards now. And it's going to be taking a lot less damage just overall from all enemies. Magic Armor has some additional bonuses besides the increased. Oh, I think we just had a nice count out by sigmafan. sigmafan counts out the coordinates manually, picks up Erdrick's token on the map. So 2 of the 3 quest items in possession. Lord of the Synth takes an intentional death in the wizard's home so that he can perhaps go directly over to attempt a princess rescue after learning those coordinates. or he's going to exit Tantegel and start counting. So here we go. Repel is in effect, and with the repel spell, he seems to be counting generally by threes. There's 10, and there's 3, and then there's another 3. So he is counting, and with the repel spell, he's not going to be getting into too many battles to distract him in his count here. Repelling basically everything that is defense broken, with some small exceptions. So yeah, so we just mentioned how many monsters he was defense breaking, so he's not going to be seeing a whole lot of monsters right now. And I think you do have to go to the east and up and around. I think that's the way sigmafan went, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It's just going to restart the count. Still hasn't run into any monsters, so no big deal. So interesting situation with the red dragon guarding the princess, that both players are going to count this out, and I think Lord of the Synth is on the right track here. And we have maybe us. Yep, he got it. Very nicely done by both runners to count the coordinates manually. No princess rescue in this seed. She's gonna have to wait for some future hero and a future seed. And yeah, so while Lord of the Synth has been running some of these errands, I think sigmafan may have just caught up with experience, and now she has found Hawksness. And remember, I think Lord of the Synth was defeated by the Guardian. Maybe this is the Blue Dragon Guardian that I was thinking of over here on this spike tile. And Lord of the Synth is in there now as well. So we have dual attempts with no healing magic on this blue dragon. It's useful to top off your HP if possible. If you had some herbs going into this fight, we see Lord of the Synth doing that. sigmafan choosing not to do that. Possibly doesn't have any herbs to work with. Oh, and the heal more spell from the blue dragon. And now she's going to try the hurt more. Oh, she survives a hit. Oh, but she's attacking instead of hurt more. She is going to have to use the hurt more spell. And now she's probably not going to make it. Heal more also discovered by Lord of the Synth, and he makes a nice play by running away from the battle. I thought he was just going to reset it. I feel like he should just use the herbs here and try again. With new information at your disposal, you can double hurt more that enemy, and oftentimes the first hurt more will not put it up into the heal more range. So then he's just a sitting duck for that second hurt more. But no, both runners going to wait for later on the Hawksness tile. Interesting development there. So Erdrick's armor still has not been found. And I don't know that we've seen the town of Cole. Here's another town for Lord of the Synth. Trying to remember if we've seen this one. This is somewhat south of Hawksness. If nothing else, he could use an inn right about now, recovering about 100 HP. And it is the town of Cole, so, well, now he'll know if he's going to need to battle that blue dragon, because this is the second of the 3 search spots. He already saw the token on the map, and it is the fairy flute on the spot in Cole, so we will have to defeat that blue dragon in Hawksness in order to acquire Erdrick's armor. So here's the thing now, he's kind of still in that region, and he has an inn right here. He could even maybe run around and grab some herbs from the shop and go right back over there and attempt that blue dragon again. Otherwise, he's going to have to find something else to do until he learns a healing spell. And I do detect the long walk around to the herb shop here for Lord of the Synth. So I'm kind of suspicious that that is his plan. He's going to use the herbs. He's going to walk back there trying to keep his HP as high as possible. And then he's going to make another run for that blue dragon. with the double hurt more strats. So we'll see if he's successful with that. He knows now for sure that the armor is there, and it would be really useful right now with no healing magic and swamps all over the map. And Lord of the Synth first is going to finish out this little peninsula over here near Cole, and is pretty much going to be forced to backtrack right past Hawksness, I believe, unless he wants to cast Return and go in a different direction. So if he's going to walk right past Hawksness, let's see, is he going to go in? He will go in. So attempt number 3, I believe, for Lord of the Synth, trying to take on this blue dragon. And we have a green dragon death by sigmafan. She just picked up level 13. Took the experience lead, by the way, while Lord of the Synth has been doing some errands around town. The gold grind, among other things. The excellent move is going to get it done. So Erdrick's armor acquired. Lord of the Synth is very happy about that. But experience lead gains for sigmafan. And she already has the Stones of Sunlight that Lord of the Synth is going to need to track down. And she already knows where Hawksness is for the armor, so she could go back there at her leisure. So it feels like, even though Lord of the Synth does have the armor now, it still feels like sigmafan is holding on to a slim lead here in the race. It's done a pretty nice job previously to this of exploring pretty far across the map in many directions, has found most of the locations available in the game. There are 16 total locations, 2 of which are castles, 6 towns, and 8 caves. 2 of those caves will be in the basements of Tanticle Castle and the town of Garenham, which I believe, yeah, but Garenham had the Rainbow Drop Cave, and Tanticle Castle had the Swamp Cave. So back into Hawksness goes sigmafan for round 2. Let's see if she uses some herbs maybe to top off the HP before entering this battle. Only has 1 herb left, unfortunately, but she could still get it done with some good fortune on the Hurtmore. But is going to start off by attacking. And it's dodging the attacks. It's going to have to YOLO it now, I think. He could get it done if he happens to have very low HP. Oh, and it did have low HP! So she gets it done with 1 hit point to spare and has Erdrick's armor, guys. That was huge! My goodness. And the Hurtmore is only around 50-50 to land. She goes with 2 attacks, does about 20 to 25 damage, and then manages to land the Hurtmore to finish it off. Turns out to be a great strategy. She knew that it had heal more, wanted to try and get past the heal more threshold. And now she has Cole just like that, so she could search this spot for the flute if she so desires. Take a look and see if she wants to do that. And we have the flute for sigmafan while Lord of the Synth runs into a red dragon but gets away. Remember, we do have 74 agility. Agility is in the green now if we look at our screen here. So we have pretty good chances to run from all monsters now. And it's also contributing to that green defense score, 87 defense points with Erdrick's armor and silver shield for Lord of the Synth. Just 77 defense power for sigmafan since she is running with the large shield. It'll still be interesting to see whether or not sigmafan can hold on to this slim experience point lead with only wielding the hand axe, while Lord of the Synth has upgraded to the flame sword. we've seen most of the chests that can be opened without going into Sharlock now. Seen the ones in Tantico Castle, we saw the ones behind the town of Garenham, saw the one in the town of Rimeldar. We saw, I believe, all of the ones in the Mountain Cave, I want to say, and I think we've seen 4 out of 5 in the Grave. I personally don't recall if we've seen Stones of Sunlight Cave or Tablet Cave yet, but at any rate, there's not too many more chances for Erdrick's Sword to be available outside of Sharlock. I also can't even recall seeing a broadsword in any of the shops. sigmafan on many occasions has been carrying around enough money to buy a broadsword, but there just may not be one available. LordoftheSynth finds another town over here on the east coast. Oh, so this is where Garenham was, so we saw sigmafan take care of this earlier, so LordoftheSynth's going to go through here, making sure he's stocked up on herbs since we still don't have a healing spell. And it's going to take an inn here, open that door, grab the chest, and then verify the Rainbow Drop Cave in the basement. sigmafan finds herself back at start again, closing in on level 14, and will that be the level that grants a healing spell? Just getting very close now. Extended that lead to over 1,000 points now over LordoftheSynth, after LordoftheSynth had the experience point lead for at least the first 20 or 25 minutes of this one. But he does pick up the Stones of Sunlight in the backside of Garenham, so the quest item race has evened out now. Just need that silver harp, and that's, again, there's only a couple of places where that can be, and will it end up being in the bottommost chest in the Grave, the one that LordoftheSynth was sniped just a little bit away from being able to open that chest and has refused to go back there, as is perfectly logical to do so, but maybe he's going to have to go back there after all. First, we're going to get our bonus cave here. He is looking for the harp and the sword, so he's going to want to open this. And it's another cursed belt, so we have seen both cursed belts, and we've also seen that all 3 of the search spots did indeed have something searchable. So that is one less place that the sword or the harp could be. I still don't remember, I'm racking my brain, if either of the runners have found and explored Tablet Cave. So there's one chest in there, and then there's that one chest at the bottom of the Grave. Oh my goodness, sigmafan has leveled up again, and we do not have the spell of heal or the spell of heal more, guys. And we are going to have to get all the way to 7,500 points for another chance at a healing spell. This is really starting to get tough for our runners. They are going to have to use even more herbs. The advantage, fortunately for sigmafan, of having the Erdrick's armor now has been mitigated a bit. And is the harp here? The harp is in the Tablet Cave. So that is going to be a required location find in this seed. The sword could still be hiding in the very bottom of the Grave, but there is 7 other chests in Sharlock that it could be located. So I'm thinking that LordoftheSynth is probably going to end up doing some sort of a sword dive into Sharlock to make sure that it's not in the Grave, and he is going to be able to put that rainbow drop together, assuming he knows where both of the shrine caves are, one of which was in Garenham. The Staff of Rain cave was found pretty early. I think it's this cave right here south of Sharlock. So LordoftheSynth running around trying to put the rainbow drop together so that he could potentially dive into Sharlock and look for the sword. Neither of the grind enemies right now are very interesting, so I think a sword dive makes the most sense. It's pretty tough without any healing magic, but you do have Erdrick's armor for the heal walk. You have really good defense power, defense breaking the bottom 3 of the Sharlock enemies right now. So he could probably just use a stack of herbs, and if the enemy mix is somewhat kind, he also has reasonable agility to get away from some difficult enemies. I think he could go with the sword dive and actually gain some good experience in Sharlock. And with the red dragon and the blue dragon on the 2 spike tiles and no healing magic, I feel like that is your best option right now for grinding as well. So I kind of feel like that's Lord of the Synth's next play. I'm just going to go back home and go into Swamp Cave. Maybe he has not seen the Guardian of the Swamp Cave. I'm not sure if he's just taking a peek. It's going to be a red dragon, and that's not what you want to be grinding on right now. But otherwise, unless this is the route that he knows of to get back to the town of Garenham for the rainbow drop. So he has the staff now. There's one more stop to make in order to complete the rainbow drop. That's, I believe that's what he's up to now. Meanwhile, sigmafan has decided that the harp might be in the grave. So she is going to go into the bottom levels. We already saw this chest that she's coming up on Lord of the Synth screen. It was a key. So we're going to grab that key, and fortunately for her now, she has Erdrick's armor, so it's helping her to heal walk her way through this dungeon quite a bit easier than when Lord of the Synth was attempting to come through here. So she's got a reasonably decent chance to actually get to the bottom chest, and it could still be the sword, guys. So I'm trying to think. I don't remember her getting to that Stones of Sunlight cave way down on that south coast. And she clearly hasn't been in the tablet cave yet either. But she did full clear Mountain Cave, and she's been in all the treasure chests that are in the towns and castles. So this is one of her last trips. Just has to make it to this bottom chest so that she knows for sure what's going on. Lord of the Synth going to try the flute strats on the golem, furiously looking for any opportunity to grind some levels now. Since he's basically done, he's going to be mostly sure that Erdrick's sword is in Sharlock, and he has basically everything else. Interesting. I don't recall anymore where sigmafan picked up the death necklace, but Lord of the Synth does not have the death necklace. And we have 122 and 124 HP. And so what was in that chest, guys? That's the part that I'm not so great at. Herb, thank you. Our tracker Monsieur Slime is doing a fantastic job tonight. Make sure you all follow him. Special thanks to Sparkover, our restreamer tonight, managing to get this on air for all the lovely people of RPG Limit Break. Hope everyone's enjoying a really nice, solid Dragon Warrior Randomizer race. It's been competitive and close, actually, most of the way through. So we have this situation now where Lord of the Synth is in grind and go mode, having put together the rainbow drop, but he's 1,500 points behind. And sigmafan still has some exploring to do. And, you know, once she finds the harp, it's going to need to run around to those shrine caves to put the rainbow drop together. So will all of those tasks allow Lord of the Synth to catch up on experience, since that's his only job now, is to grind for more levels? Problem is, there's not a very clear way right now to get levels quickly, since they don't have healing spells. And the 2 spike tile enemies are not particularly hurt-moreable. Unless he wants to go into Sharlock and take his chances on finding enemies that he's defense breaking, I guess he's just gonna like look around for these Axe Knights on the overworld and try and grind up some levels that way. So it's a little bit slower than, you know, in some other seeds where there might be an Axe Knight like on the spike tile that you could just go to town on. So that enables sigmafan to maybe have a little bit more time to round up these items before Lord of the Synth catches up, but she doesn't have unlimited time here. He is on the prowl trying to cut into that experience lead here. See how that goes. I'm not sure if sigmafan's already been in this general area, if she's retraversing some parts of the map that she's been to already. Sometimes it gets a little bit tricky. Not so sure, I don't know. I know that the tablet cave where the harp is way down, touching the very southern coast of the map. So she's not necessarily in the right part of the world right now. I believe this is the north coast of the map, so probably about as far away from the Silver Harp as she could possibly be right now, unfortunately for her, while Lord of the Synth is somewhere fighting some more difficult enemies. So Armored Knights now are worth quite a bit of experience, and you could heal walk your way out of these battles. Finding the mountain cave, actually, so maybe he wants to see if the death necklace is in here, and I guess I forgot that he hadn't been in here, so obviously looking for the sword as well. So I apologize on my previous statements. I didn't realize he still had some exploring to do. I thought that he had been everywhere except for Sharlock at that point, but it would make sense if he didn't yet have the death necklace, because I think he's about to pick that up over here, which is a really good item potentially in this seed with such high HP at level 14 here. So death necklace acquired for Lord of the Synth. He'll have that for the end game. Level 14 did grant quite a bit of strength, so sigmafan actually is almost ready to be in Death Necklace territory for Dragon Lord fights. Needs a little more HP and a little more strength. But we're not too far away now. Lord of the Synth not finding the sword. Going to cast Outside. I believe now that makes everything. We saw for sure that he found the Stones of Sunlight Cave, and he also did Tablet Cave. So he's seen all the chests now, except for the last one in the very bottom of the grave. So do you go into the grave now for that one last chest, or do you start going into Sharlock here with no healing spells? Or do you just run around in this desert and hope to pick up some Armored Knights and some Axe Knights? Seeing if you can cut into this experience lead. But meanwhile, sigmafan's actually continued to extend the lead. She has 15 now, and surely we have to get a healing spell here, right? And we have regular heal, so 16 will be required regardless of whatever those statistics say. Because you cannot finish the game without the Heal More spell. You're going to need that in order to battle the Dragon Lord. So, 16 required. Maybe sigmafan never actually opened this chest. I thought she did. But if she didn't do it before, she's got it now. She's still looking for that harp, so just a couple of more places that it could be for her. And she would love to find the sword as well, but we know for sure at this point that it is in Charlotte Castle. Neither of our runners has that complete information yet, but from our perspective, we've seen all the chests now. And what's she going to do now? Returning back to the castle. And maybe going to try the spike tile run. No, wait a minute. Nah, she's still got too much exploring to do. Going to go back through to the other side where I believe the Rainbow Drop Cave is going to be over here in the town of Garenham, but she just maybe thinks that she's going to find the locations that she needs over here for the silver harp. So exploring from the other side of the swamp cave. She keeps taking northern turns to explore these coastlines. I know that she needs to get all the way to the south coast. But if this is new territory unexplored, maybe she's going to be honing in on that item pretty quickly while Lord of the Synth desperately tries to cut into the lead. The lead is under 2,000 now and closing. He's found the grind that he likes. It's Armored Knights in the desert. Double hurt more. We got plenty of MP to work with. So we got this grind against sigmafan's desperate search for the silver harp. Oh, and here's one of those caves. Which one was this now? Going in the dark. She does now have the Radiant spell. She just picked that up on 15, but maybe doesn't see it. Didn't have it that whole time. That was... Maybe she just now saw it. I think she just realized that she just, on this last level, had picked up Radiant, so now we don't have to do Tablet Cave in the dark. Hooray! And this is the Silver Harp now, once she gets there. So Lord of the Synth has got limited amounts of time now to pick up this experience. She's going to have to make her way back over to the Staff of Rain Cave, which was on the first continent south of Sharlock. She's going to have to trade that in. Then she's going to have to make it all the way back over to Garanham, which I kind of thought was on the second continent, but kind of losing track at this point. But so there is about 2 minutes of errands now that she has to run around and fulfill to complete her quest here to grant access to Sharlock. And while she's doing that, that gives Lord of the Synth a little window to catch up on this experience. The lead is down to 1,500 points now, and she's closing in on the Staff of Rain Cave. Part 1 of 2 about to be completed. Lord of the Synth now, I wonder if he is giving up on the desert overworld grind, and maybe he's going to go attempt some sort of swamp cave spike tile here, which, you know, he still doesn't have any healing. Nope, just refreshing MP at the old man there. I thought he still had a little bit of MP to work with, but regardless, he's got plenty of it now. And I think this is the desert right over here where he was finding the Armored Knights. Well, there's some Axe Knights at least. So finding some good enemies while sigmafan returns home from getting the staff and is going to make her way through en route to the Rainbow Drop Cave, holding on to that experience lead in the process. This is becoming a pretty close race though, guys. And we are going to have a little bit of a Sharlock situation here for Lord of the Synth. Not necessarily going for game, but maybe going to try and get down there for the sword, or we're just going to do a little bit of grinding here on the top floor. See if there's some wizards and Star Wyvern that he can defense break and kill with the flame sword perhaps, or maybe there's just some Axe Knights in here that he can wail on. There is an Axe Knight on this top zone, so it's going to be trying this for a grind now while sigmafan hastens her way towards the Rainbow Drop. Having the hand axe this whole time, and as opposed to the flame sword, has not slowed her down with progression items or experience gathering. So interesting, the fact that she didn't do the gold grind before seems to have paid off so far, but Lord of the Synth cutting into the lead while she tries to get there on low resources now. Wisely runs from the blue dragon. 85 agility is plenty. Can run from blue dragons all day with that agility score. Just trying to make it over to Garenham now before it's too late. It's a little bit of a hike. I think that might be it on her screen though. The lead is down to about 1,000 now after... Well, but she's got an Axe Knight here. She's running low on resources though. What a situation she's in. Has to hope for not too many more encounters in these hills, which is a high encounter rate zone. But yes, she does get to Garenham on her last of her resources. Doesn't take the untimely death. May want to use that in, but just desperately wants to get back there for the rainbow drop before she forgets about it. Can worry about taking that in maybe a little bit later. Or even just taking a death warp, going back to the castle, depending on how she wants to route this out. She will have the rainbow drop. And nothing more to look for except the sword and more levels. 16 is guaranteed to give heal more. And she's part way to 16. Look at Lord of the Synth cut into this experience lead. It was a 2,500 point lead about 10 minutes ago. And the lead is going to be down to less than 800 here after this blue dragon victory. And sigmafan stocking up on herbs again. Hopefully now that she has regular heal, won't need to use these herbs until the Sharlock dive for game. And now is going to go take the inn. And where to next? She quickly needs to get back on the experience gathering. It's just taking a little while to get all these things rounded up. There is the wings that I felt like she might be using. And is she actually going to dive for game on this entry into Sharlock here? That is the question. Only has the hand axe. So it might be a little bit tricky. She would have to run from everything and then get 16 after getting the sword, perhaps. But no, she's starting to use some magic, so scratch that idea. We're going to be going after wizards here with the stop spell strats. 500 point lead for sigmafan as we finally have some side-by-side grinding happening here. I'm not so sure that Lord of the Synth can beat a red dragon with no healing spells, but he does it! No healing spells. Flame Sword takes down the red dragon with only 104 attack power. He has finally learned the spell of heal, which will make some of this grinding a little bit more reasonable. It's going to instantly just cast Return now with half of his resources still unused. Not entirely sure what's happening with this, but maybe deciding that now is the time to go for a spike tile grind? Yeah, you're going to need to heal more to beat the game, so we need one more level. sigmafan is going to grind but walk at the same time. Potentially, if she gets down into that second zone, it could give her a little bit more information for later on what is in here and what she'll be dealing with on her final dive. And possibly she could get all the way down and get the sword on this dive, since she's at a little bit of a disadvantage here, only having the hand axe. Question in chat, what's the spike tile grind for the swamp cave? I believe it is a red dragon. And so without heal more, it's a little sketchy to be able to reliably defeat red dragons. I'm not sure that he actually got all the way to that spike tile or not. So he is going to check it out now. If he knows that it's a red dragon, then I would be curious about this, but maybe he didn't get to here earlier and just wants to see what's going on. I mean, he did manage to beat a red dragon just a minute ago, so maybe just feeling like, you know, he can beat it, so might as well go for it, right? It is 255 experience every time. If he manages to outlast it, oh, it does cast Stop Spell. So maybe he got that information on the previous fight with the red dragon. Doesn't seem to be like a really high stop spell percentage, but it's enough so that he is confident that he can take it down before running out of HP, and then he's going to have to heal 3 or 4 times to get ready for the next battle. But it's a pretty reasonable choice now that I see that it has stop spell, because now it's just 1 or 2, it's 2 quick steps and you're back into the fight. So there's no like walking around waiting and looking for a fight. So now it's going to be fun to see which of these 2 grinds wins out. sigmafan with the Charlock grind, and she's got a 700 point lead, and LordoftheSynth with the red dragon grind on the swamp tile, which seems to be going pretty quickly. Doesn't even heal between battles there, so this has become a pretty good grind. While sigmafan tries to get down, and she's actually running from some battles, which is one of those gotchas when you feel like you really want to get to the sword, but if you start sacrificing your grind in order to get there, you're allowing LordoftheSynth here to catch up with the experience. So this is becoming so close now. And she is going after enemies like the Armored Knight, which are more difficult to run away from, which is reasonable, but that takes her down to 39 MP. And we're only about halfway through the second zone. She's probably just running from all blue dragons, since there's not like a really easy, quick way to beat a blue dragon in the first place. And she only has heal and not heal more. So I guess she is taking the fights that she feels like she can win. Good bit of heal walking here, but now there's red dragons in the bottom zone. She's approximately 50-50 to run from a red dragon, gets away in the second try. She does have the fairy flute, and just in case she wants to taggle with those golems. She's getting very close to the sword, though. And we'll have to see if that can actually end up helping her in the long run. It's kind of a race to level 16, though. I don't think we're going to be going to like 18 or 19. If we were, then having the Erdrick sword instead of the flame sword would be a small advantage in a red dragon grind. But right now, it's all about level 16, and it is so close. And don't tell me she's out of keys. I really hope that she's... Oh my gosh! She has run out of keys, guys. For the sword, which is almost definitely in there. She could hope that it's in the vanilla chest and maybe try to get back to the vanilla chest, but she's already cast outside in total dismay. Gonna have to make another trip. I don't even remember where Rimuldar was. They didn't find it very quickly, so it could be a little bit of ways away. Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, that last chest up on the second floor or third floor in Charlock is not blocked by a key. She was pretty low on resources, though, so maybe wasn't going to be able to get there very easily on that dive. But, you know, it could have turned out that maybe she didn't need the key if the Erdrick sword is sitting in that particular chest. But has made her way back to Rimuldar now, so we're going to get a handful of keys here, while LordoftheSynth, I think, might be officially passing her by with the experience lead right as we speak. And this red dragon guy is going to give 16. Let's see what we get, guys. Only 1 power, but 4 HP puts the death necklace in play. And with that silver shield that he has, it's safe to use the death necklace. Oh boy, I think we're looking at 137 attack power once the death necklace is used. I'm saying that this is go time. At 137 attack power, in theory, you only need about 10 heal mores. It's a little bit sketchy when you have when you're going to end up with exactly 97 or 98 HP, but you've got to go on 16 in this seed. There are some red dragons in there. We have 86 agility, So you're just gonna, I think, hope to get away from those red dragons. It doesn't always work out. You have 1 or 2 heal mores to burn. If it worse comes to worse, you're gonna want to take a full stock of herbs in there, but because of that issue with the sword dive, Lord of the Synth has taken the lead in this race and is on his way to Sharlock to go for game. sigmafan, I think, is so close to this level. If she could just get the level, you know, she shouldn't go in there just for a sword dive now, because the next level is going to be the game. You're going to want to get this level and get to an inn as quickly as possible here. But it's not over yet. We did see red dragons, I believe, on multiple zones here. So a failed dive from Lord of the Synth puts the advantage back to sigmafan. And with only 1 or 2 heal mores cushion, it's definitely not a guaranteed dive here. But so far so good. Lord of the Synth finding mostly blue dragons, runs away nicely with the 86 agility. And so far, this just seems to be another example of how important it is to do the exploration and get all the items as quickly as possible. sigmafan just had a few extra minutes where she just had to find that tablet cave for the silver harp. It was the last thing she needed. And while she was putting all those things together, Lord of the Synth came from a 2,500 point deficit to take the lead here in this race. But it is relatively close. And if sigmafan manages not to use more MP, she actually could be okay on this dive without going out to refill her MP here. So at first I thought that she was using MP, but no. She gets the level on the way, and it is going to be enough. So both in Sharlock now at the same time, but using Radiant doesn't affect the heal more total here, so both runners are going with that. Look how close this race is. Just 2 or 3 floors below is Lord of the Synth beyond sigmafan here. Could potentially be fighting Dragon Lord at the same time. Couple of trolley run blocks from the green dragon, but sigmafan's through the first zone into the second zone, while Lord of the Synth is about to exit the second zone and reach the third zone, where we did see some red dragons down here, and it's a little bit of a walk on the bottom floor, getting all the way around to the Dragon Lord. And before you get to the Dragon Lord, there's also a mini boss that is required to be defeated before actually reaching the Dragon Lord. It could be anything from an Axe Knight to a blue dragon, a stone man, which we haven't seen much of today, an armored knight, a golem, or a red dragon. And Lord of the Synth actually still has to take the side trip in to get the sword, but so does sigmafan. Oh, for want of getting the sword on the first try, she could be taking a left turn and going right past Lord of the Synth right now. But instead, she has to go into the treasury to get the sword also. But she has made some tremendous hero walks and is basically almost caught up. With a little bit more encounter luck, she will be able to walk right past him. What a race we have here. But no, she's going to get waylaid by a red dragon for now. Uses the key. Both runners already have the fighter's ring and the death necklace. There's nothing in here to look for except for the sword. Will she open the chests in a better or worse order? Lord of the Synth, it looked like, got it on his 4th attempt. And exactly the same for sigmafan. Gets it on the 4th chest. It's going to begin making her way around. This is like Literally a 15-second lead right now in this race, guys. What a dive she's having to catch up all that ground. She's about to walk right past him, guys. She's walking right past Lord of the Synth while he's tied up in a fight with a red dragon. sigmafan is taking the lead in the race. Lord of the Synth has to use some herbs to get out of this red dragon battle. He's got to hustle now. And now she gets the red dragon battle. This is one of the closest finishes we've had in this whole tournament. Woo. What is going to happen with the mini-boss? Now Lord of the Synth can't get away from another red dragon. Golem stopping sigmafan temporarily, but we have a blue dragon on the spike tile, which didn't really show much in the way of special abilities previously. Lord of the Synth has been using the fight technique to get through the red dragon encounters, which takes a little bit of time. Oh, so blue dragon successful, but now there's a red dragon right behind. Oh, just more encounters. Can she get to the Dragon Lord? Yes. And doesn't use the death necklace. We're going to be going into this fight with 127 attack power. Woo! I don't know about this play. I think it's possible with some double attacks, but it's going to be dicey. Ooh boy. Let's see what happens with that. If anything else, it's going to be a longer fight for sigmafan, potentially 2 or 3 or 4 more turns required, which could enable Lord of the Synth to defeat the Dragon Lord just a little bit faster. So he is using the Death Necklace and instantly enters his fight with 12 heal mores to work with. I think she was down a heal more compared to that. This is incredibly close. And I'm not totally sure if sigmafan's going to be able to win this fight. I think it's possible, but she is going to need some double attacks quickly here. Rolls another single-digit damage roll. We're going to need some double-digit rolls from her side to make this victory. Oh, and here's a great chance for a double attack. It's breathing fire. Oh, 45. Not gonna chance it on 45. I feel like you're going to have to take some of those risks, though. Oh boy. So Lord of the Synth, on the other hand, is down to very low HP after using the Death Necklace, so watch out for situations where he may have to double heal because of a bad heal more roll. It's going to be constantly in the danger zone. Hasn't happened to him yet, so things are going smoothly for Lord of the Synth, while sigmafan, I don't think, is getting the necessary good fortune here. Maybe another chance for a double attack here. But it breathes fire, and she's at 46. Doesn't risk it at 46. Goes for the heal more. Not sure if she's keeping a careful count of the damage. I sure haven't been. Not sure if anybody in chat has the count. But 2 heal mores to go. Oof. And Lord of the Synth could be finishing up this fight at any moment now as well. Probably 2 or 3 more heal mores, and he'll have this victory. Can she get it on the last attack, guys? Second to last attack here. There's an 11. 1 more swing. This is for the race. No! She rolls a 7 on the last roll. What just happened? sigmafan doesn't use the Death Necklace and gets sent home. She had a valiant effort. Had a chance to probably win this race by mere seconds, as Lord of the Synth is looking to wrap this fight up in the next turn or 2. Second to last heal more for him. Didn't notice any double healing, so if that's the case, he should be all set here. And 1 final heal more if he wants to make sure. Second to last attack coming. Is it going to be enough? No, but it's a 17, which is a really nice roll. Last attack for Lord of the Synth is an 18, and that is going to do it. Last attack, Lord of the Synth, get your GGs out. Super close fight with the Dragon Lord. Super close race against sigmafan. He's going to come out on top for his first victory in the 2019 Dragon Lord Warrior Randomizer Tournament. We'll get an official time, sub 90 minutes, guys, on a seed that had some challenges. Very solid race. No healing spells till 15. Gets it done in 1 hour, 28 minutes, 26 seconds. Very, very nicely done. Congratulations, thou hast restored peace unto the world. So sigmafan just now getting the news, it appears. And not sure, it looks like has taken a couple of fights here and there, but I'm not so sure that she was necessarily aiming to get 17. Is running from the Star Wyvern here, so yeah, probably just going to continue forward. Make another attempt at 16. May or may not choose to try the Death Necklace this time. And we will see if Lord of the Synth wants to have a chat while we watch sigmafan wrap this up. That was exciting, though. We had him on the grind while sigmafan was finishing up, getting all the pieces together. The experience lead evaporated, and then she had a tremendously good dive to pass by Lord of the Synth when he had like probably 3 floors worth of a lead geographically, but she closed the gap, was the first to fight the Dragon Lord, and had a legitimate chance at the victory. What a race. Wow. And I vaguely recall that she, but thou must, thank you, Lord of the Synth, for that, as always. I recall that she was 1 heal more down from this because she had gotten the level on the way down. So you always wonder if that final heal more would have made the difference. No way for her to know that. I think she, it was a good play to get that level on the way, but it just a little short on the final fight. I hear a ding. Do we have Lord of the Synth?
Indeed you do.
Oh, congratulations. You should watch this race back because you would not believe how close this race was. It was so good. It was so fun to watch.
I was feeling pretty good about it until I was trying to do my endgame grind because there just wasn't really... wasn't confident in my ability to take on a blue dragon that had healing.
Yeah, so how do you feel about just not having any healing spells, and then you have to find some way to get experience?
Well, you gotta have something to ruin a jet seed most of the time. But yeah, so I was trying to grind on the overworld in zones where I knew there were like AKs and green dragons, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm like, okay, I'll resign myself to Sharlock because I'll get more encounters. And then I learned that red dragons were stop spell happy.
Ooh, no Death Necklace again for sigmafan. So she got to the Dragon Lord like 10 seconds before you did, but did not equip the Death Necklace, and just wasn't quite able to do enough damage. I think she was down 1 heal more compared to you, though, because she did get the level on the way through Sharlock. So yeah. I didn't get a good count of what she did for damage, but is going to attempt it again on the same level and again without the Death Necklace. I'm a little surprised that the Death Necklace is not being used here, but it's definitely possible, but I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes. But at any rate, yeah, so with no healing spells, I saw you going into Sharlock at one point. You had some overworld desert grinds with some armored knights, some axe knights popping up here and there.
I think
you tried the spike tile for a little bit too in the swamp cave, and that actually seemed to go pretty well.
Yeah, so what happened with that was So I went into Sherlock thinking I was just going to have to do that because it's better than the overworld grind. That was when I'm like, okay, let's just try taking a red dragon and see how many rounds it takes. And I learned he used stop spell almost every round. So I'm like, okay, I'm going back to the castle and I'm grinding level 16 on red dragons because I only need like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I like how that turned out. It seemed like that particular grind that you came up with went faster than some of the other stuff that you were doing. There wasn't really a good way to know that. Like, I wouldn't have gone for the red dragon with no healing spells. It seems like suicide, but yep, you got the intel and you took advantage of it, and you did have some experience gap to close. And so finding the fastest way to do it was pretty important for you. She was just trying to round up the harp from the tablet cave, then she had to go to the shrine cave and the drop cave and all that stuff. Meanwhile, you were closing the gap on the experience. So
right. So I only chanced the red dragon because I had almost 130 HP, and I knew I had enough AP to take him down in 4 or 5 rounds. But I was sweating by that point because I made the decision to go looking for the mountain cave because it was basically a coin flip that Death Necklace, Erdrick Sword, or both was in there. And I just didn't want to risk going down without either.
Yeah, in this seed, the strength score just wasn't really coming. You know you're going to need the Erdrick Sword at some point. And I was actually a little bit curious if you were going to maybe try a sword dive just to get experience, like in Sherlock, but just kind of make your way down and see if you could get to the bottom for the sword dive. But instead, you did go ahead and look for Mountain Cave. So, and that worked out because the Death Necklace was in there, which turned out to be important.
Correct.
As we see sigmafan unsuccessful again without using the Death Necklace. So the Death Necklace was important, and you got it in the Mountain Cave. So I wonder if we're going to see maybe a forfeit here. Valiant effort, though.
But yeah, so I ground the extra money for Flame Sword. So I decided not to do a sword dive because it's down there and I'm not going to have that much trouble getting.
Yes. All right. Do we have sigmafan? May have to unmute or push to talk.
So when I set up GG.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. When I had to run back out to grab a key. I thought I had a key in my menu when I saw the numbers. I thought I did have a key or two. Turns out it was just herbs. Went all the way back out. Was able to get my key, save enough magic, come back in, and I guess I didn't have enough, or the rolls weren't in my favor, I guess. One of the two.
Yeah, that was definitely a bummer when you couldn't get the sword on the first try because you just had run out of keys. I don't know if you guys had to make your way back and forth through the swamp cave a couple times or something, which, you have to go through that door every time going through the castle. I can't remember how that happened, but it didn't seem like it was too costly, like you said. You got to Mular quickly, and I guess the main question, as far as what your last question there is, I wonder if you considered using the Death Necklace, because on that last level, you did get up to about 130 HP, so it would have been a possibility.
No, I was only at 120.
120. Oh, I'm sorry. So, I forgot that you were on the Strength Agility build. I apologize. I think we may not have had that correct on our screen. So without the Death Necklace, it would have been a little bit tricky. I didn't get a good count on how much damage you did, but it seemed like it might have been possible with some good double attacks. But he was breathing a lot of fire there, so close. It was very close, though.
That way throughout all my races this go around, they've been breathing a lot of fire, and unfortunately kept on getting burned. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
I had pretty good luck with the Axe Knights in Sherlock because they had DL2 breath, and I only saw it from them like once.
I got DL2 breath a lot from them. Just a question, Synth. You had to go to 16 in order to get heal more. Is that where you went? Because you had
Correct.
130 HP?
Yes, I was on strength HP, so I level 16 gave me 130 on the dot. So yeah, I insta death necklace just because of AP. So I went in against DL2 with 137 AP, and I still only got through on my final attack.
Yeah, no possibility of double attacks for you, obviously. So you needed every last attack. It was probably below average rolls for you because you had, I think you entered the fight with 12 heal mores and you had 137
Yes.
attack power.
I saw
Sigmafan had 127 attack power, but again, with the possibility of double attacks, sometimes it seems like that could work out. But I guess the death necklace was just a little bit better in this case if you could use it.
Yeah, I thought about not putting it on very, very briefly, but a +5 on your range.
So another question I had for you,
no-brainer.
sigmafan, is that it was going pretty well with the hurt more. It was pretty, you were making great progress with hurt more, and pretty early on you had gotten to Rimmelar and got keys. And then when you found, I think it was the grave next, and then a little bit later the mountain cave, in both cases you decided to not try for a gold grinds coming out of there when all the equipment was in Cantlin. Now, it turned out that it seemed like it didn't matter too much because you were just doing so well with hurt more, but wonder if you had thought about that.
It didn't cross my mind at all. And with the way it was looking, I didn't find a silver shield.
It was in the lower shop in Cantlin.
Lower shop in Cantlin had it. That's the way it goes sometimes. But then again, I'm not a regular player of Dragon Warrior Randomizer. I have, this is just like a side hobby for me. My main hobby is game shows, where I do a podcast called the Gumbo Cast, and I actually have to bow out in a couple minutes' time because I got to get ready and record for that. And also prep for my YouTube channel stuff, Game Show Gumbo. That's where I make my name in the interweb, so to speak.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I saw a little description of that from you, and it sounds like a great situation you have there. And for someone that in your opinion, you just kind of casually play this game, it seemed like a real solid run from where I was, and you had a really good chance to win. It seemed like you were actually the first to fight the Dragon Lord by a few seconds here. It was super close. If you end up watching this back, I think you'll be entertained by how close the finish was. It was pretty fun from our perspective. And hopefully you're having fun in the tournament, and you'll continue on next week in round 4.
No, not only that, I have a booth call on Thursday. You'll probably be hearing my voice and all these wonderful Randomania RPG Limit Break streams calling more of these races. Because that's where I kind of have a lot of fun calling races. I admit I'm not a great player, but I kind of bring some energy when it comes to calling races.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the fun. It's part of the community. It's good to have more people on board for that, for sure.
So if you're all listening out there, sit back, relax, and strap it down. We got a lot of Dragon Warrior Randomizer here for you on RPG Limit Break and Randomania Network.
Well said. And I will say, Sigma. I mean, some of these things are just experience things you pick up as you race more. One of the differences between what you did and what I did was I found Rimmelar kind of late. So I immediately set up a grind blind because the grave was right there. Because I knew all the best stuff was in Cantlin. I knew where Hawksness was. I knew it had a blue dragon. And fortunately, there were like 3 gold chests. It was like a really rich treasury. But I ground up the 33,000 gold you need to get all of those and beelined it to try and take on that blue dragon.
Right, and as it turns out, I use another way because I know that the blue dragon kind of has heal more. Can sometimes use heal more.
Yeah.
If you attack it a couple of times and then just use a hurt more, he will never pop off that heal more. Because you get like 90 to 100, 110 hit points, so that's why I went with my good old trusty hand axe, and it worked.
Yeah. I don't do hurt more strats on blue dragons as often as I should, just because anytime I do, I just have awful luck getting them to stick.
That's
As a matter of
what
fact,
I was feeling later.
That's super frustrating.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a coin flip. Essentially, was it like 9 out of 16 it'll hit or resist?
Can we get the stats up for the blue dragon?
It's always possible.
Despite that, it was a great race, Lord of the Synth. Sadly, I'd go down to 0-3. You have a chance to come back and hopefully get in the playoffs. I got to get out of here. I got to do this podcast, and I will post the link in the Discord. Friday? No, it'll have to be Saturday because I have something set up with my Patreon where they get it 2 days in advance.
Ah, very nice. Okay, that sounds cool. Thanks for stopping in for a chat, and nice race, and good luck next week.
All right, I shall do my best. Peace out, guys.
So
GG.
here we have the Blue Dragon Lord of the Synth. So
That's
it did have the 50% chance for heal more.
It's slightly better than a coin flip for hurt more.
Oh, for the hurt more resistance, yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to land it, slightly more than half the time. I always think of these things as just 50-50. And yeah, and then when you miss like 5 or 6 times in a row, you're just like, really?
Yeah, that was one of the other notable features of my seed. I had there were twice I missed a hurt more on a green dragon twice in a row.
On a green dragon twice.
Yeah, on a green dragon.
It's like a 1 in 256 or something.
Twice.
That's always fun. Yeah, it's amazing how many like outliers can come up from when people run this race, like the oddball things that can happen. So it gives a lot of replay value to the game overall. The randomizer is just such a cool idea to mix up this old game. But yeah, great job again. Congrats on the victory. So
thank you.
Moving on to week 4 with a chance to stay alive, and yeah, good luck with that one. I think we had maybe another race tonight at like 10:30. I'm not sure if that's already finished yet or not, but if
I don't know,
that would be the final race for the night.
No, RM3 is still on.
All right, so Random Mania 3, maybe that's like in the final stages. That one started about a half hour after we did, so yeah, it's a good chance that they're still racing. And other than that, tomorrow we're gonna have, looks like a good chunk of races. I'm counting 5 races tomorrow. Wow. So at approximately 5 p.m. there's gonna be a quad, a bit of an early one, and 9 p.m. there'll be a race, and then 2 more races scheduled for tomorrow at 10, and that's when I'm racing, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, plenty more to look forward to. If you've enjoyed Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament, definitely check out all the appropriate channels. Every evening, there's multiple races going on pretty much. So, and this was a real good one. This was super fun to watch. You should check it out afterwards, Lord of the Synth. It was really close and competitive and fun.
I'll definitely have to, because the make or break moment for me turned out to be, do I find the mountain cave or not? I was really sweating that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There were definitely some interesting decision points, as you mentioned already. So yeah, it's a good one to go back and watch. So yeah, everybody definitely make sure you follow these great runners that had put on a good show for us. Links are right there in chat, Lord of the Synth and sigmafan. And special thanks to our restreamer tonight, Sparkover, for making it all happen. And jumping in to do some tracking is Monsieur Slime. And that is probably going to do it for this broadcast. So stay tuned and look forward in the rest of the week for lots more Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Thanks everybody for watching tonight, and see you next time.